Hey, oh, testing? Okay. Hey y'all, welcome back to another stream. I started a bit later than expected today. I apologize for that. I had a call with a child, and that went... All those calls go really long, if I'm going to be completely honest. Give me 1 second. I'm hearing some reverb, so I'm just double checking that on my end. To commandeered my husband's computer for revenue reasons. Nervous laughter. I forgot to mute it, so I'll have to remember to unmute it when I'm done here. 1 sec, though. I hate how it looks. The text looks blurry on the screen. Nobody's complained about those, so I'll leave it as it is. Month is almost done. Sorry about that. I know it's not exactly friendly to the ears. But yeah, we are back. Had a bit of a late start. I was talking to the child, and their calls always go long. But it was a good call. And then I wanted some food before I streamed, and so I was I was eating, and I made myself a pretty nice lunch. It was like, I made myself a homemade taco salad. We had leftover taco meat and stuff, and so I just used that. It was pretty good. What else? Guys, I'm terrible at this. Anyway. So that's my morning so far. We're planning on going until 5-ish. I am making soup that it doesn't require a lot of chopping, but I haven't made this one in a minute, so I want to make sure I understand the instructions before I dive in. So we're going till 5, so just 2 hours. Sorry. What I plan on doing, though, tomorrow I do not plan on streaming. I do plan on writing. I had several days where I didn't do any writing, and that hurts my heart. But I do plan on writing some tomorrow, a little bit at least, just not on stream. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I will stream. The usual Monday around like 5 or 6, unless D&D gets canceled, and then in that case, 8 to 9. And then Tuesday, Wednesday will be 8 to 9. And then, like, there's probably one situation on Tuesday where I might not stream that late, or might not stream at all, but you'll find out if it happens, when it happens. And then, I'm sorry, my brain just stopped. Hold on. Yeah, and the Wednesday is definitely 8 to 9, unless Thanksgiving stress is getting to me, but it usually doesn't. Not until the day of, anyway. Thanksgiving, though, is Thanksgiving, so I won't be streaming on Thanksgiving. And I'll go over all of this at the end of the stream, too. And then Friday, is Black Friday. I have the day off. Yay. I don't have any plans on Black Friday, so my plan is to stream and to catch up on my word count and probably hit 50,000 words. I might try a Pomodoro stream that day. I'm also, like you'll see in the ticker sometimes, if you're paying attention to that I'm planning, I might have a potential Black Friday thing going on. It's up in the air. This is a very, very, very small channel with only like a handful of viewers. Maybe. But for every follow, I'll add like 30 minutes to the stream. Every sub, I add an hour to the stream. And basically go from there. Obviously, dinner and stuff with the family will come first. But I'm thinking maybe I'll start at 10 a.m., plan to go till 4, so 10 to 4. I'm just thinking about the logistics. My husband works till, he's probably leaving by 10, so okay, so we can probably do 10 to 4. And then that way it builds in a couple of extra hours for, but at least a couple of extra hours. And then if it happens to go longer, then I'll do a, maybe set up something for like something I can play for you guys while I am away. Maybe I'll like pre-record. I don't know if I have time for it, but maybe I'll pre-record me reading one of my chapters or a few of my chapters, like an hour's worth of chapters or something. I don't know. But then I'll come back and finish up whatever. But yeah, it's basically like if I get a follower, I'll stream for an extra 30 minutes. If I get a sub, it'll be an extra hour. And I just kind of, and then like, I don't want direct donations, so I'm trying to avoid that. But for, yeah, I'm not going to do any monetary incentives beyond what's currently on the ticker or the card, if you see the card. So yeah, that is what I am doing. So without further ado, let's get back to the story. I've been terrible at writing outside of streaming, I will admit, but I've also, this year's the complete opposite of last year. I have had like very little downtime. So it's a good problem to have, but like somewhere in the middle, I think, is where I would prefer to be. But that's enough of me complaining. Let's go ahead and get to writing. Farah and Nick had gone through their... Okay, that's right. We're going from Nick's point of view. They went through the night. They found basically nobody. That meant not every tribe needed to flee, and although the Eldarians weren't in the fire's path, they wouldn't need to come out this far. Ooh, I had an idea. Sorry, my brain just went idea mode. I meant not every tribe needed to flee, and although the Eldarians were in the fire's path, they wouldn't need to come out this far to avoid it. Alright, in the back of his mind, however, he kept remembering the directive that Elder Nihan gave to him. Take Farah and flee the forest. He was certain the fires might be why, though he wasn't sure why he had to protect her. Take Farah, protect her, and flee the forest. He was certain the fires might be why, though he wasn't sure why he had to protect her. She was fully capable of handling herself, he gathered. Either way, he wasn't about to abandon her, or go back on the Elder's orders. Sunlight was now beginning to bring color back into the woods. As the duo dismounted and went to rest against a tree. As the duo dismounted to stretch, and went to get some rest against a tree. Do you know how to walk? Or no, she would know that. I'll watch first. Nick offered as he took his pack off of his shoulders and set it beside the thick gray trunk. They decided to do a watch in the daylight. It was easier to spot others. And they decided to do a watch in the daylight. It was easier to spot others, and the scouts would be moving while it was light. The scouts would likely also be resting, so there wouldn't be a chance of their paths crossing, assuming they had come out this far. He wasn't going to share that assumption with Farah, but she had to know that it was a long shot that they would find their way this far north without getting caught. But she had to know that they would come this far north. That was as long as the fires were also this far west. That was as long as the fires were this far west. Drink my water real quick. If the Carlathians didn't even start any fires in this segment, in the Western Wood, then the scouts might not even know that there was trouble. They're not aware at all of the man's thoughts, just nodded and fell to and promptly laid herself down on the ground, turning away from him and facing the trunk of the tree. He smirked. As he noticed that. She often liked to sleep with her body facing something solid. He wasn't sure why. Since it seemed counterintuitive to someone who was intending to who was always on the lookout for any dangers. But someone who's always looking for dangers, but maybe it was because she trusted him to do his part. Maybe if he wasn't around, she would be more of a cautious sleeper. Speaking of doing his part, Nick wandered away from the tree. The horses they rode in on were already grazing some nearby brush, and at least for his horse, I don't know if it's named, don't remember if it's named, at least for his horse, he knew that it would not ride off without him, unless spooked. He had to make sure that nothing could get close enough to spook it. Okay. Alright, the horses. I'm thinking, sorry. Trusting that he wandered several yards away from the sleeping scout and the unaware animals, keeping his eyes open for any movement or signs that a fire might be in the distance. So the problem was this section of forest was more dense, and so it was difficult to see beyond several yards of tree trunks in the southern direction. He had to rely on the animals and their behavior. He had to rely on the forest's animals and their behavior. If there was any, it could be possible that the animals just were still asleep from the evening. It was also likely that their presence scared them into hiding, if they were even around at all. Either way, he noticed a distinct lack of birdsong in the air. Given that he wasn't able to see very far out, he decided to move even further south to see if he could somehow discern even a whiff of the fire that had scared him yesterday. Scared him into action. You need a note. Don't go too far, he told himself as he carefully stepped over jutting root systems. If I need to get back to her in a hurry. What are you gonna say here? A long run. Through this won't do either of us any good. He didn't expect to go as far as he didn't expect to go as far as meeting someone from the Croatian starters face to face. But he knew that there was always the possibility that he might run into them, or another less friendly tribe member, or even another less friendly tribe member. Giving himself a gentle reminder that there was a knife in the boot, or in his boot, he decided to go ahead and press forward past a few more trees. Alright, who do I want him to meet? Oh. For some reason my bot's not announcing it, but Twitch viewers, there is an ad that's starting in about a minute. Let me take a look and see why she's not announcing it. Twitch ads, upcoming ads, enabled, yes. Criteria. Okay, I set it for maybe 1 minute. So don't have a minute left. We have more than a minute left before it starts. So let me just wait and see if she says it at the minute mark, and if not, then I'll have to look into something. Just that there was nothing in his boot, he decided to go ahead and press forward past a few more trees. I mean, like, I guess there's going to be an exposition element here, because he has to run into a guard, or somebody has to run into a guard. They keep running away from the guards. They're not going to... Anyway, my brain. Alright, so we're under a minute. My bot didn't announce that an ad is coming. Shame on it. So let's see if there's just... This is updated recently, and I don't know if, excuse me. Might be just a different one. Upcoming ad. got the right one, so. Is it enabled? It is enabled, and it's enabled over here. Well, I was going to do something, but it looks like the ad just started on the Twitch side, so apologies. Take a look at that later. Oh, and I just see that doing that kind of messed up with the preview screen. Apologies again. Alright, give yourself a reminder that there's a knife in the book. Food, huge veg, order a few more trees. As he moved forward, there was a breeze. There was a gentle morning breeze that brushed against his face. Let's see. That brushed against his face. With it, he caught the unmistakable odor of ash. Somewhere where the breeze had come from, there was a fire of some sort. He still wasn't able to see any hints of it, but there was definitely something in the area, if not close by. Southeast. He murmured the direction the wind came from to himself as he turned to look in that particular direction. Still no indicators of the fire. They had come from the east and the southeast at that. Southeast from the east, and saying they had come from the southeast would not have been any fabrication either. Could it be that the fires weren't this far west after all? Like he had been worrying all morning? One sec. Could he possibly just be getting the odor of the fire he had initially seen? It was faint, after all. It was faint, after all. he wasn't... Excuse me. It was faint after all. It was faint after all. The smell wasn't on the air when it was still. Only when the breeze carried it toward him. He exhaled. He would need to tell Farah his plan. He would need to tell Farah his plan. He needed to tell Farah his suspicions. Even if he was tasked with taking her out of the forest, he wanted to be fully honest with her. She might not like that they had come this far out for perhaps no reason. But he needed to keep her. He needed to keep her informed. Since there was no trace of anyone coming this way, it was likely the scouts, if they were still, it was likely the scouts would be south of their current position. Even if not directly. They were also likely southeast, but perhaps not so far that they would have been impacted by the fire. He turned and began to make his... Alright. Nick turned and made his way back to the sleeping Farah. When she awoke, Nick was sitting on the ground beside her, looking grim. What's wrong? Farah asked. Sitting up with a yawn. I think I might have overestimated the breadth of the fire, he said slowly, weighing every word as it came out of his mouth, despite having mulled it over more than a few times, as she was asleep. How do you mean? She asked. She asked, rubbing the sleep out of her eyes. It paused. And then explained. And then explained. There we go. Sorry. Nick paused, then explained. I think the fire might not be this far to the west, at least for now. They might have started in one section of the forest and might be doing the forest in sections. Then my scouts, she started, Farah started to say, with realization in her voice, are probably just fine. He finished for her. He let her mull over the thought for a moment. He let him over the thought, her head tilting down as she considered the implications. He wouldn't have been surprised if she lashed out at him for taking her to unnecessary places. But instead, he got a surprising response. Good, she said with a sigh. But the threat of the fire is still real? She asked him, this time looking directly in him, in his direction. Yes, he answered. The scent is not strong, but it is still in the air. I was thinking, after my rest, instead of going further west, we can start making our way south. If the fire are starting to encroach on them, then they might be heading south as well, and we might be able to, they might be heading west as well, and we might be able to join up with them in the meantime. I was thinking after my rest, instead of going further west, we can if the fires are starting to encroach on them from the east, we'll be able to join up with them. Or at least find their tracks. He paused. Are you able to tell their tracks? Farah chuckled. I can tell horse prints and footprints. She explained. Unless there's a clear distinction, like a malformation, I generally cannot tell whose print belongs to who? She thought for a moment before continuing. Many tribes will likely be traveling together, so we'll be cautious to look for travelers going in pairs. So 2 sets of feet or 2 sets of hooves, she explained. In a situation like this, many scouts typically go in pairs. In situations like this, any scout would return to their tribe to help with preparations. Nick listened and nodded. The Sarogi do not have scouts like other tribes had. They often sent people out for herb and berry picking, like he had done several days ago now. And if they came across anyone in need, they would be certain to help. However, scouting was never a task for his tribe. It was fascinating to hear how others did the tribe's tasks. Alright. Okay. Fascinating to hear the tribe's tasks. And you are on board with the plan? She asked. I am, she agreed. Standing, Farah wiped down her clothing and motioned for the spot she was just in. It's not a bad spot. You might be a little large, but I'm sure you'll fit. I'm sure you'll fit regardless. That's there. I'll take the next watch. And when you've had your fill, we'll travel south. Alright. So that's chapter 42. Let's save. Alright, let's do a quick word count. Yesterday I did it all in YouTube with the commands. I'm just going to do it in Twitch today. If I can spell. $36,095. Alright, just under 2,000. So I've got 1,000 words written so far. Not bad, not bad. And okay. Alright. Sorry, my brain's just still tired. I'm not as exhausted as it was yesterday. But it's the time of day for me, you know, it's the 3 o'clock hour. It's the Onia's gonna yawn her brains out hour. Hey Ty, how's it going? So apologies for all the yawning, if I get started on yawning again anyway. more flooring work. Yep. But just think about it. Your floors are going to look great once it's all done. We've had some work done on our house recently, and I wasn't the one doing it, but I'm exhausted from it. So I can imagine how doing flooring work would actually be exhausting. Definitely get all the rest you can in while you can. Okay, so where was I? The main floor took you 6 weekends? Oy. I bet the pups were happy to finally be able to to use the main floor again. Alright. Large for it. Let me edit that. Okay, so now we're going to switch POVs to Deja. It had been too long since she... That'll be later. The sunlight poured in on the woman's face, flooding her with brightness that took her away from the dream. Oh, actually no, I forgot I had a thing with her where I was writing out her dreams. Let me backtrack that. Okay. I know you. Alright, anyway. What dream do I want to give her? Ha 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 ha. It was dark. Cold even. Deja couldn't see anything, but only felt the cold, wet air around her. Never before had she felt so claustrophobic. But now it was, but now she was feeling as though she could suffocate in this vast, dark space. Where am I? She dared to yell the question. The sound of her voice barely came out as a whisper. Where am I? She repeated the question, willing as much air to come from her lungs as possible in order to push up the volume. It came out. The words themselves came out even weaker this time. She was barely certain she had even said them, though the fire in her lungs made it difficult to argue that they did not happen. tried to maneuver her body. Could she move? Her leg... No. She tried to take a step back. But her legs were lead. They would not cooperate and would not listen to her. She could have, nope, she attempted to twist her torso and see, she tried to twist her torso and discovered that this action would be allowed by her body. It did no good. It did no good. Even as she was able to twist the torso and even her own neck, the darkness was all around her. It was an odd smell that was beginning There's an odd smell that was beginning to become familiar to her. It almost seemed sour and bitter at once, with a taste that made her want to retch. It almost seemed sour and bitter at once, with a taste that made her want to retch. As she spent, for each moment she spent in this terrible position, in this terrible darkness, the odor grew stronger and stronger. Let's see. Maybe one more paragraph. The odor grew stronger and stronger. Ooh. You know what you want to do. The voice, a voice came out at her from the darkness. It echoed. It swirled in the air around her and echoed off of the vastness. It was her own voice. Daylight. No. Radiance. The sunlight poured in on the woman's face, flooding it with brightness that took her away from the dream she had just been trapped in. She gasped and opened her eyes. She gasped at the realization that she was free, and opened her eyes with a swiftness. She leapt. Immediately thereafter, there's noise from my stuff, I guess. Okay. Immediately thereafter, she cursed at the blinding sunlight and rolled over into a pillow. The softness of the pillow struck her, and she reared back to appraise it. It had been too long since she had been in any sort of bed, much less one that was as comfortable as this. The pillow was soft. She had been sleeping on it since last night, but her exhaustion from her travels did little to help her appreciate this at the time. Now that she was weary and now that she was awake and more aware, she realized how much she had taken items such as the soft pillow, filled bed sheets, and a blanket for granted. I mustn't think like this. She immediately chastised herself as she pushed herself out of the bed and into a standing position in the room. I must be prepared for any situation, sleep or over. The room itself was large, even for a guest room. It rivaled a room in Kingdom. I forgot his name. Oh no. It rivaled her room in the Carlathian castle. I'll just say that for now. Okay, it rivaled her room in the Carlathian castle. The bed was large enough for her to fit the entire entourage that left the Skylark Wood. Excuse me, sorry. Should've gone the other way. Forgot the microphone was this way. I'm so bad at that. Apologies to all listeners. Anyway, the room itself was large even for a guest room. It rivaled her room in the Carlathian castle. It was the best. The bed was large enough for her to fit the entire entourage that left the Skylark Wood on that first night, and still have comfortable room to sleep. The pillows were large enough to... Her pillows were large enough that she had no need to ask for any additional pillows. She could roll on them without losing surface area, and they they held her and they cradled her head in a way that did not bother her neck posture. The window that allowed the offending, we'll go offensive, the offensive sunlight in. The window that allowed the offensive sunlight in was directly across the room from the bed, a large opening in the wall that would allow three of her to stand side by side and look out comfortably. Oh, we got 5 viewers. 1 sec. I'm gonna change the size of the preview window. Y'all get half a page now. Yay! Alright. Then Ted gets a full page. Alright, so where was I? Oh man. Okay, the window that allowed the offensive sunlight in was directly across the room from the bed, a large opening in the wall that would allow three of her to stand side by side and look out comfortably. There was a large dressing table with several drawers beneath it and some sundries and some cosmetic sundries laid out on top. Immediately to the left of the window, there was beyond that, making up the entire other half of the room was a seating area comprised of seats that could hold 2 or 3 men at a time, comprised of 3 seats men at a time, each one backed up against a wall, as well as a table between as well as a table at the foot, as well as a table that sat not far, as well as a each one backed up against a wall. Each one also boasted a table that ran the length of the seat and sat a few feet, and sat no more than a foot away from the seats. She had tried sitting in one of those seats the night prior, before she had collapsed into her bed. They weren't too hard, but they could stand to be softer, she critiqued. But then she realized if they were too soft, that might invite those who don't need to stay That might invite those. That might invite guests to stay unnecessarily longer. You can see the wisdom in making them not quite as comfortable. There was another large window that was behind the seat. That was behind one of the seats. Behind one, I can't type, sorry guys. That was behind one of the seats, mirroring the window across from her bed. This one, however, had shades drawn so as to block the sunlight from coming in should there be anyone sitting in the area. Indulgent. Deja. Classified it. The entire room was too excessive. Too excessive for her. It didn't need to have as many soft touches as it did. Although they were nice to have. She walked over to the dressing table and started pulling the drawers open. Although there were cosmetic sundries laid out on top as if she were expected to use them, the drawers themselves were very empty. Deja furrowed her brows. What kind of host did not prepare clothing for his expected guest? But instead prepared cosmetics. But instead prepared cosmetics. Alright, we got about an hour-ish to go. Check. My brain is kind of farting right now, so I apologize. Oh, we have an hour-ish to go. Let's see where we're at with the word count. Let's see if I can do it without the command. Do it through my action center. Excuse me. There we go. Alright, we're still in the 36,000s though. literally just moved 2 numbers around. That's funny. Or 1 number around. Okay. We're almost to 37,000. That's nice. Alright, let's see. There was a knock on the grand doors that separated the sleeping area from let me actually go back. I'm gonna pause that there. Directly to the left of the dressing table was a large mirror. Directly to the large mirror, Deidre supposed that it was in case she wanted to look at herself after getting dressed and applying the cosmetics. Reflecting in that mirror on the other wall that shared the back of the bed was a large set of wooden, I can't spell wooden double doors. The wood itself was etched with various flowers from the top to the bottom and everywhere in between. Okay, come back down to the knock. There's a knock on the grand doors there's a knock on the grand doors that commanded Deidre's attention. The woman stood. The woman closed the drawer in front of her and turned to face the wooden doors. Come in, she confidently declared. The woman who entered was old. She wore a red top and a white skirt and had a white smock over both of them. Her was obvious. Wore a red top and a white skirt and had a white smock over both of them. Her graying hair, her mostly gray hair allowed for peaks of, I need a color. It's already said that her outfit was included red, so I don't want to have her be a redhead. Black, brunette, blonde. We'll go with redhead. A black, brunette, redhead. Go with brunette then. Allow for peaks of brown to show through, telling Deidre that in her younger years she was a brunette. She was a brunette. Her hair was of the brunette shade. how rich it was. She couldn't tell from those hints, but it was enough to let the warrior imagine what this little old lady could have been like in like 20 or more years ago. That hair was tied back into a long braid that fell down the diminutive woman's back. The writing here is kind of weird. Feel like I'm vomiting words, but I can edit it and make it look good later. I'm not vomiting words, I'm vomiting thoughts. So, slightly different, a little better. Not by much though, I guess. Okay, anyway, the hair was tied back and that fell down the woman's back. The woman had a pile of linen in her hands as she stepped in. She looked over at Deja with piercing gray eyes. "Do you require dressing?" she asked in a voice that sounded like in a voice that barely acknowledged her visible age. Dressing? Deja asked, confused. Was she talking about getting her some fresh clothing? Or was she offering to dress the woman herself? She had heard some of the more opulent rulers liked to have people undress and dress them. "Dressing," the woman exclaimed, holding up the linens. That did not do anything to clear up Deja's confusion. "I could use some more clothing," Deja acknowledged with a nod. "You can set them on the dressing table," she directed, pointing toward the table. Alright, well, looks like the bot now is announcing the upcoming ads. Maybe it just doesn't work if there's 1 minute left. Because now we've got ads starting in 4 minutes and change, and it was the 5-minute mark that triggered that one. But I'll keep watching. "You can set them on the dressing table," she directed, pointing toward the table. "But I don't need assistance in dressing myself," she hastily declared. The old woman looked at her quizzically. "Who said I dress you?" she asked in a heavy accent. Alright. 5 minutes and 4 minutes. I might just do one at the 3-minute mark if it'll allow me. So, good to know, good to know. Anyway. Who said I address you? She said in a heavy accent that the warrior hadn't heard before. No one, Deidre stammered with a shake of her head. I misunderstood. Sorry. She tried to remember what Keshev had told her in the past regarding mistakes. 3 minutes till the next ad. No one, Deidre stammered with a shake of her head. I misunderstood. Sorry. She tried to remember what Keshev had told her. To acknowledge them and learn from them. If there was a learning opportunity available. The woman crossed the room, muttering to herself about Karlathians, and assuming that everyone, muttering to herself. Karlathians always assume. Karlathians always assume. Servants will do all the things for them. Do all the things for them. No courtesy. She did not bother to try hiding any of the words from guest. Once the clothing was set on the dressing table, the old woman turned to Deidre and pointed toward herself. I would say Margot, but I don't think Margot's a great one. Again, not everybody has simple, all the names are kind of made up. Mista. I am Mista. I am your chambermaid while you are guest in kingdom. Guest while you are Prancian guest. Prancia's guest. I am Mista. I am a I will not do certain things like dress you. However, if you need me to clean your room, clean your area, I will. Just do not expect me to remove any spots while you are still a guest. However, if you just do not take advantage of our hospitality, or I will give you earful. Okay. I am Mista. I am well, you are to think certain things like dress you. However, if you need me to clean your area, I will. I'm just looking at this because just do not take advantage of hospitality. give you earful. Help you if you need to clean your area. Or bring new clothing. Understood. Deja said slowly. She had never really had a chambermaid before. Sure, there were maids in the, yeah, there were, I can't think, sorry. There were maids back in Karlath that served her, but they really served the king. And none were dedicated just for her. Was Mista a dedicated servant? A chambermaid? Or would she be shared? Or would she be, or was she someone who took care of multiple people? Given how she reacted when Deja misunderstood the comment about dressing, she was honestly afraid to ask. The newcomer was honestly afraid to ask. Alright. Okay, we got about 30-ish minutes left. And I am starting to feel tired again. Dang it. But nope, I can't be tired because once I'm done here, I'm going to be cutting onions, making French onion soup. I'm kind of excited, honestly. I don't know if I can open the wine bottle. Shoot. I might have a cork somewhere. Anyway, given how she reacted when Deja misunderstood her comment about the dressing, the newcomer was honestly afraid to ask. The old woman eyed Deja up and down, judging her with the look. You look better with hair, she declared. I can make wig. I can procure wig. Do you need? Deja blinked a few times at the offer. She wasn't sure if she should accept it. Should accept the offer. She wasn't sure if she should accept it. She missed her long hair, but knew that having her hair cut, but felt like having her hair as short as it was a statement that she could not be kept down by Karlath. It was almost liberating. Never was there a woman her age who dared to have hair as short as hers. Normally, at least in Karlath, if there was a woman whose hair was shortened, it was due to either illness or domestic violence. In this case, it was neither. It was neither, and she kind of wanted to be a symbol for that. But if she were to meet the king, she also realized that she would need to conform to their society's standards. But if she were to meet the king, she realized she also would need to conform to their society's standards. If the king of Praencia of Fornea overall thought that Deja was ill or had been victimized in any way, that would undermine her position as the Foreseen. If you can find any that are brunette, and preferably long and braided. Actually, what I just said. Wig? The woman, the younger woman asked. It was a term she hadn't heard before. Yes, wig. Misha explained. No, Nista. I don't like you calling her Misha. Yes, wig, Nista repeated. And continued. I'm afraid I've never heard of that. The old woman and shook her head. Of course you haven't. Poor child. Wig is a device that can be worn on head if something happens to hair. Bad haircut. Obtain wig. Bad haircut. Obtain wig. Unfortunate accident. Good paint. Obtain wig. Bad hair day. Oh, you get the idea. Wig is a device that can be worn on head. Something happens to hair. Bad haircut. Obtain wig. Unfortunate accident with paint. Obtain wig. Bad hair day. You get the idea. She waved her hand in the air. Need to blink a few times when we offer. She wasn't sure if. Okay. But if she were to meet the king, she also realized she would need to conform to their society standards. The king of Praencia or Fornea overall thought Tisha was ill or in any way. Additionally, if these wigs were common enough in the city for Mista to recommend it, it might even be expected that someone with short hair, that a woman with short hair wear a wig to meet with important dignitaries of the city. She almost wished Bupan had warned her about this. I'll take the wig. Deja finally agreed. I've never worn one before. No, no, no. The chambermaid stomped her foot as she witnessed Deja pull the wig onto her head and allow the long brunette wig onto her head and allowed it to sit. While Mista was off procuring the item, Deja had changed from her overly dirty travel clothing, into something much cleaner. A white linen blouse, and black pants. She cinched the blouse at the waist with a... I need a color. Give me a color. I want to go monochromatic. With a blue, with a thick blue string that was originally part of the dress. When Mista returned, when Mista returned and handed the wig to the warrior, she had begun to Mista returned and she had begun to pick up the filthy clothing and undress the bed that was now filthy thanks to the night before. As she was taking the linens off of the bed, Deja inspected the wig. It looked similar to a scalp. It looks similar to a scalp, but had a shaped piece of cloth on the inside that had hair sewn into it. It was kind of creepy. With the shrub. But she needed to fit in. Fit in while she was here. With the shrug, Deja lined up where she thought the wig should go and pulled it onto her head. Strands of hair covered her face, and she quickly swiped them aside. In the meantime, Mista had been watching. She had no idea that Mista had been watching her until she started yelling, "No, no, no." She stomped. The smaller woman moved surprisingly quickly over to Deja. Quickly, not quickie. Over to Deja and motioned for her to kneel. You do not put on wig like that. You don't put on wig like that. It needs to look natural. Confused, Deja knelt on the ground in front of the woman. How do I do that? First, next time do it in front of mirror, the older woman explained. Then you need to make sure that the part that looks like the front of the head is actually facing the front of your head. She pulled the wig off of Deja and pointed at the ends of the wig. This end, you can see, is shorter. This is front. This end, she pointed toward the side of the wig that ran longer than the other, is the back. When you wear correctly, it will feel like a hug on your head, she explained. She eyed Deja's scalp and then nodded satisfactorily. I don't think I spelled that correctly, but that's fine. Nodded satisfactorily. If hair longer, then you might need hair hider, cap, but you do not need. Hold still. Although she remained confused, Deja did as she was instructed and held still. The woman fixed the hair on the wig first, and then slipped it onto Deja's head. The back end hit her forehead first, and then slid down, and then slid along her, the shape of her head and down the back to the nape of her neck. Lisa wasn't wrong. The wig felt much more comfortable this way. How is? The older woman asked as she stepped away. It feels more comfortable. It feels more comfortable. Deja acknowledged as she stood. Swing head to side and side. Swing head to side and side, and up and down. Wig should not move. If moves, I need to use. If moves, I need to secure. The woman did as she was told, and the wig barely moved at all. This is amazing, she said. I didn't know that hair could be recreated like this, and without much effort. Yeah, which is real, Nista explained. It takes some time to create wig of appropriate color and length, so they do not come cheap. But because all heads are different, they sometimes do not fit too well. Yours fits good. We do not need to buy tape for you. Tape to secure wig to head. You do not need it. The older woman explained with a wave of her hand. Now, go look in the mirror. See how it looks. See how it looks. Once again, Deja did as instructed and made her way over to the mirror between the bed area and the sitting area. She blinked. She had always spent a lot of time in the sun in Carla, but her travels within the Silent Forest and the Foreseen plains had changed her skin tone to be 2 or 3 shades darker than she recalled. Now that though, the hair that flowed down from the wig was gorgeous. It seemed limp and lifeless at first as she was holding it, and problematic when she first applied it, but now that it was on her head correctly, it seemed to really be a part of her and seemed full of life. She couldn't even tell that she wasn't wearing a device such as this, except her hair was slightly lighter than it used to be. Wow. Wow, indeed. Mista said, once again gathering the linens. Now go to cafeteria. Now go to hall and have food. There is spread created for all guests. You can go and enjoy. Someone will find you when it is time for audience. Okay. Alright. That was a fun chapter. Chapter 43. Alright, so let's see. I'm gonna do something real quick with the ads thing. Cut it down. I think I'll try to have it run at, let me count. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they did all 5. What if I just did the 5-minute warning? Okay. And see what happens there. Alright. And now word count. $38,606. All right, so where did I start today? Let's see. 34, 36, 38. All right, so I got about 4,000-ish words done. Go me. It's my birthday. So 34,677 was it? I am just under 4,000 words for today, guys. And we got about 10-ish minutes left. Yeah, let's go ahead and write some more words, see if we can hit the 38.7 mark, at least. So, alright, so chapter 44. I don't know where I want to go with it right now, though. Nice. Guys, I think oh man. So Luca and Raimi are currently out of the picture. That's fine. We just saw Deja. And Farah and Nick are Sweeping southward. Deja's not going to see the king for a couple hours. I really don't know where to go now with this. We're really just bouncing back and forth between Deja and the duo in the forest again, aren't we? That's fine. We'll do that. Okay. Oh yeah, and of course there's Lemim, but Lemim is also kind of out for the time. Ooh. Do I want to introduce him now or maybe a future book? I think I'll wait because he's technically not even needed in this yet. Ooh. What would his role be? You know what? Maybe I'll make it into like what it feels like it's its own book within the book. Kind of, sort of. And then he'll be like useful part of the way through. Except I don't want to include him because they're currently in the city. I want to wait till they're out of the city. Sorry. Yeah, we're going to go back to Farah and Nick. This is from Farah's point of view. She had been, hopeful that once they started moving southward again, they might see some sort of indication of life. However, the further south they went, the quieter it seemed. There was no indication of footprints, or human or otherwise. Even the air was silent, and no animals seemed to call out warning that there were people approaching. The world had given up on this section of forest. Nick, Farah said in a low tone. He replied, trying to keep his voice as low as hers. Something feels off. He paused, but then nodded. I think so too. Do you want to go back? North, I mean? He slipped away from the whisper, partly through the question, but immediately caught his air and whispered once again. going back north might be wise. It would mean that they were going away from wherever this enemy, Karlath, or Azor, or Azord, was. But the north was also quieter than it had any right to be. The situation might not even change much if they go back. She shook her head. North isn't an option, she said, keeping her voice low. Alright, so it's 5 o'clock. I do need to get started on dinner, but let's go ahead and see if I got to that 38.7 mark with these few paragraphs. Here, let me scroll up so you guys can see them. 38.7. Perfect. Alright, so we got 4,000 words done today. I don't know how many I'll get done tomorrow. I've got birthdays to celebrate, so and lots of shopping to do. So writing will be done tomorrow. Don't know how many words, but as long as I get writing done, right? And also just a reminder for this upcoming week, Monday is D&D night. If it gets canceled, then I'll stream 8 to 9. Otherwise, it'll be 5 to 6. Wednesday is definitely going to be 8 to 9. Tuesday, excuse me, is going to be up in the air. 1 second. Tuesday is going to be up in the air, just depending on how the day goes. Thursday is Thanksgiving, so I'm going to be busy that day, so no streams. We'll try to get some writing done, but we'll see. And then Friday. Friday is going to be fun. I'm going to try to start streaming around 10 a.m. Oh man, my throat does not want me to talk right now. My throat says, girl, you're done. But I'll try to finish up real quick. Friday, I think I'm going to do a follower/subathon type thing, where for any Twitch follower or YouTube sub I get, although I don't have any way to tell if I get new subs directly during YouTube, I might have to use Stream Elements or something. Excuse me. Start at 10 for new Twitch follower, YouTube sub. I'll add 30 minutes to my timer. And then any YouTube subscriber that's just YouTube subscriber because I don't have YouTube memberships yet. YouTube memberships, I'll add an hour on. So my plan is from 10 to 4. Did I say 4? Yeah, 10 to 4 on Friday, getting as much writing done as possible, and also catching up because I am behind. So 10 to 4, and then using the follower sub incentives to help go longer. And then if I do happen to go longer, I will probably, I don't know, read or have a bot read one of my stories, probably the first half of this story from when I wrote it like 10 plus years ago, as a filler while I go have dinner and stuff, if it does happen to go long. But yeah, them's the plans. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up now. YouTube, you can go ahead and log off if you want. Twitch viewers, I do run an ad. Remember that revenue from these ads do go to charity. So if you don't mind, please stick around for these ads. I would really appreciate it. And then once the ads are done, the stream will go ahead and turn off. All right. So thank you again so much. I will see you guys Monday. Bye.